This is a fight up in Nangbuakok, which is kind of near Karat. I've fought for this promoter, or I don't know, the headhunter who asked me to come fight in Karat quite a few times, but I almost never know who I'm fighting when I come up here. And I usually need to ask someone to help in my corner, and sometimes it's this military guy who's just enormous and loves telling me to wrap my hands immediately for everything. But at this particular fight, this group of kids ended up helping me in the corner, and I remember our mat was kind of over behind, like on the side of the ring where we're looking from right now. It was like way back, and there were just so many ants, like a gajillion ants all over our mat before this fight. But it was really late. This was maybe at like 2 a.m. It was a very long fight card, and I was very late in it. But there had been 2 female bouts before me, and they were absolutely the highlight fights of the night. Like, this whole night of fights, the women just killed it. There's a girl in my corner. She comes in kind of later. She had fought earlier in the night, and she was just excellent. She was so cool. Her name is Nangpoi. So these, you might be able to hear these guys in the corner. They're gamblers, and they're very, very excited for this fight, asking if anyone knows what my style is, and trying to figure out what they're going to be betting. My opponent is significantly bigger than me, especially in her lower part. She's got big legs, which means she kicks hard. But I kind of like just going out into the middle of nowhere and not really having any expectations or, anything, and just going and fighting. Feels really good. On our way to this fight, this promoter notoriously doesn't tell me exactly where things are. Like, he never sends me a map or anything, so we got a little bit lost looking for this event, and we pulled over to a shop at like 8 o'clock at night. They were closing up, and we asked them if they knew where this place was, and they didn't. So I called the promoter on the phone, and they talked to these shop owners on the phone for a couple of minutes, and they ended up getting in their truck and driving us, like, we followed their truck over to where this event was. People are so nice. A lot of times, out in rural Thailand, you'll see people who don't do the Muay before their fights. I'm never entirely sure if it's that they don't have one or if it's just a brevity thing, but people always clap when I start doing mine. I think they like seeing a Westerner doing the Muay. So this announcer is the guy who calls me for these fights. I recognize his voice. His name is Gosin, and he tends to promote around the Nakhon Ratchasima or Karat area, which they call the gateway to Asan. But there's a military stadium up there that's my favorite stadium in all of Thailand to fight in. And I think that's where I initially met him. They always really like this part of my Muay. People get very excited about this part. It's from Master K, my very first teacher, and he made a big deal about that assassin part of it, the executioner. So I don't know this dude who's doing my Muay, but he put up photos afterwards, and I think that he is associated with a gym up in Karat. He was very nice. He was very excited about cornering for me, which is awesome when people are into it. They tend to be. I've never had someone, like, be upset cornering for me. So my last fight had been against Tanachnok, who's world champion at 51 kilos, WPMF, and I'd teeped her a lot and, like, had some success with the teep, so I think that I was on a roll with that at this time, using the teep as kind of an offensive weapon This girl has a good rhythm. I think that she thought with her size she would have more control in the clinch and was surprised. I had a good lock early on here, just trying to like move her is a little bit harder because of our weight difference. You can see our size difference here as we're locked up. But I'm kind of like just trying to land these knees on the side of her. I'm not really making space for like big points. But one of the cool things about fighting out in the provinces is that the whole like take the first 2 rounds off does not happen quite as much. You can get some really intense fights right at the start. And the refs let the clinch go. She's got a nice right. She's got good spacing. You can see her like using her rhythm and spacing to land bigger shots. Oh, that right hand she likes. That's a good position for her, but I roll my face out of it and get into a better position. I couldn't quite flip her there, I think just with the angle and the size difference. I don't cover distance after my strikes. I end up striking and then staying in the same spot, which just is a visual, to me now, is something that visually I can really see as being an issue, something that I'd want to change. So these little grommets, these kids, were from another gym, and I asked them if they could help me in my corner after they'd finished helping their fighter. They were so confused by me asking, but they were really good corner. So Kevin's telling me keep my right arm in, because when my right arm gets locked out, I can't lock my arms, and I lose a lot of leverage and control. And then these guys in my corner are basically telling me just clinch, like, you're super dominant in the clinch in this fight. And she's really good at distance. She's got really good understanding of her distance, and she's got that right hand that she's trying to land. I also really like when you fight outside like this, the gamblers come right up to the ring. Like, the audience is right at the sides of the ring. It really adds to the energy of the fight. So here I'm working my right arm in, and now that I've got this lock, I can basically create my opportunities to land those jumping, bigger scoring knees. Hooking her arm here. I'm trying to get that right there. Trying to get the space to do like a straight knee, because those score really well and tire people out. This is the first time she's really moving backwards from me, is after I landed that really good knee, so it maybe took the wind out of her a little bit. She's got a nice stepping knee, though. Look at that. That's beautiful. She's got an elbow coming in. So I'm kind of leaving my knee up there, which you can do to like emphasize the point, but you should not keep leaving it there as a clinch fighter, because you're actually wasting time when you could be throwing more knees. See how she steps on... This is really good, taking someone's back and getting them in this position. It's like kind of a half, not really taking the back, but it's very dominant to have someone not be able to move themselves. But if you look at how she steps on her strikes, not only is she covering distance, which you have to do in order to really land power, but it looks really good. Aesthetically, it looks much better than the way I stand in one spot and even sometimes step back on my strikes. This is why it's so great when refs let the clinch go, is that it can actually develop a little bit. Even when we're on the ropes, he's just kind of popping us off. Oh, that's a good turn on hers. She has actually not a terrible instinct for timing in trying to turn me in the clinch, but she doesn't lock, and I do. And the lock is what allows you to kind of like catch yourself and keep moving. This girl in the Hawaiian shirt, this is the girl who fought before me, Nung Poi. Oh, she's so good. She fought this girl who's pretty big, and she totally like sandbagged the first 2 rounds and then just kicked the shit out of this girl for the rest of the fight. It was really amazing. She's telling me to punch the body. I love that she just like jumped in my corner and started helping. I didn't say anything to her before this fight, like we do not know each other, and she was like, I'm gonna get in there and tell this girl what to do. It's awesome. Afterwards, she asked me if I would come fight her in karate, which I thought was very ballsy and cool. We are not the same size. That fight did not happen. But we're friends on Facebook. I like her very much. So that someone in my corner is saying just clinch, like clinch only. That's because I'm not amazing on the outside. This girl's got good kicks. So they're telling me to get closer. She's got that really nice step knee. I need to do that. She can do it going backwards too. It's great. I'm trying to do it there, but I don't cover the same distance she does. She's got this like sureness in the way that she comes in. So here I'm kind of not in a great position. I'm trying to like get my right arm in. Got an elbow attempt there. But see how I'm locked outside? I have to lock with my arm on the outside in order to get this better position. Especially with the size difference. If I were on the outside, it's dangerous. I didn't know that she did that until watching the video. I've never had someone try to elbow my leg like that I was aware of. You can see her posture has changed a little bit. She's very strong. Given her size, the wind that she's keeping doing this, I don't think that she's a runner. But she's coming with such, like, she is in... It's not hard to come after someone. I mean, it is hard to come after someone after taking knees to the belly. She's good, though. Look at her. Look at her wait for that moment to come in with the knee. And basically, I just want to get in this position as much as possible. But keeping turning, seeing... I'm on the ropes now. I need to turn out. See how I'm trying to get out? Got one elbow in there and a knee on the end of it. It's a good round ender for me. Gamblers are excited. These guys who are like up above the crowd, they're standing on like ladders that you can rent so that you can, because there's no like stadium seating, so people will rent ladders so that when you're in the back you can still get like a vantage point of the ring. So now Nongpoi is telling me to create space before throwing straight knees. She's like, block on your way in. So the announcer is giving me a little bit of or giving the crowd a little bit of a bio of me. Just saying that I used to train with Pet Jija. I'm from Pet Rungdung Gym. Kevin is pointing out that my opponent is getting tired, so really what that means is I need to stay on her. Like when someone starts to get tired, you really want to like push on that. It's like noticing an injury and going after it or something. I really like the way she steps with that right side. Oh. See how now she's trying to turn me and land a knee on the end of it? That's exactly what she should be doing. I need to be turning her too, and I'm kind of like just yanking on her a little bit, but that moving backwards along the ropes is okay. See all the hand motions? People are like, get in there. Like, stay close. See how with the size difference, if I bounce off of her, I look ineffective. Like, I really, really have to stay in. And then anything she does, because of the size, it's assumed that it has pretty good impact. So I have to do these like jumping knees and kind of bigger movements. But it looks really good for me as the smaller person if I can move her. So when I drag her around, that looks good for me. Her turns look really good because she's bigger. So if she turns me and lands a knee, it's assumed to have like really high impact, regardless of how it feels to me. But here again is that half position. So I need to be landing into her open belly or turning her to create more dramatic impact there. Don't I stay on her? See how I keep backing away after these exchanges? I don't need to do that. Not only is it giving her time to breathe, but it doesn't look good. Again, just looking at two differently sized opponents, if the smaller one is staying away, it's not seen as tactical. It's seen as being afraid. So probably the odds are pretty heavily in my favor by this point. So usually going into a final round where you already have a lead, you just need to go for like half of it and then start pulling away to like create the ultimate narrative of the fight. So they're saying just one more round, like just one more round, just go. I really hate these super tiny stools. they're very weird to sit down on in fights because you are trying to sit for so long before you actually hit it. So the referee will usually have you hug between 4th and 5th rounds. You like say sorry to your opponent and kind of like we're not actually trying to personally kill each other kind of thing. So I kind of started coming away early, which is partially I think because she was coming at me in the 5th round, which she should. But normally I would go for like the first minute of the round and then pull away, but I started backing up kind of immediately, which means that you have to do it for the entire round, which can give a window to your opponent because you don't get to have that pull away as part of the narrative where you're really, really taking the lead. But you can hear the change in the music. I'm so far ahead already that they're not even going to make this necessarily a full round. But she's coming hard, which is great. She's fighting to the end. I'm just trying to, like, keep my distance and block and teep. I don't really need to do anything. I don't need to score anything. I just need to, like, defend my lead. But when you have to do that for an entire round, it can be a little bit tricky. And I'm not super great at the 5th round yet. I'm getting much better all the time, but there I'm putting my hand out as the hand touch of, like, do you succeed, basically. And they ended up being near the end of the round or finishing the round slightly early there, but it's good. You just get to go through the crowd and get a bunch of high fives and handshakes and thumbs ups and things like that.
Sylvie, ask for a Moncon.
We always have to make sure that we get my Moncon off the corner of the ring. It's an easy thing to neglect when you don't know your corner, because there are a lot of things to keep track of. Look at how high that ring is, though. It's like up to my chest. I couldn't find my shoes. I'd like kicked them under this staircase or something. It's always a little bit intimidating. I'm an incredibly shy person to like wade through a crowd like that when people are going to be giving you attention as you go through because they just saw you fight. But people are always very, very nice and encouraging. But this is just this huge field with this ring set up in the middle of it. The fights went until like 3 in the morning. And you can see people just have their like plastic chairs set up. This is our mat on the ground, again covered in ants. Getting a photo with Nung Poi. She's awesome.
Is that your fighter?
That's that big girl, yeah.
So on this fight, on this card, it was her against this really big Tom girl, and then there were these like 40-kilo girls that fought each other that were just unreal. I think one of them was a San champion going against this other one that was just super scrappy.